Now you can start.
Yeah. Just give me one minute. Yeah. Screen is visible, right, Myla?
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah. Uh, Very good morning. Uh, and today I take this opportunity to discuss certain issues and points to ponder upon with respect to the amendments under the GST law, which has been proposed by the Finance Bill, and of course, Lok Sabha has passed it, and no changes as far as GST is concerned, as far as the Lok Sabha has passed. So as far as CGST is concerned, we have 37 whopping amendments. IGST, we have 4 amendments. UTGST, 2 amendments. And GST compensation says we have 1 amendment. Just that broad statistics. Today, I would be taking through certain, important amendments first. I think 11A, 74A, and 128A are key amendments. And also there are connected issues which requires probably certain thought process and how do we go about with it. So I take this opportunity to present my points and my perspective to these aspects. So we have 11A, which we may call as ratification of the collective incorrect interpretation of the classification. The provision is placed right after section 11, which is an exemption provision, and it intends to condone or not condone, it intends to enable the government to notify that tax need not be paid with respect to certain supplies where there has been a collective misinterpretation about the classification. It covers two basic categories. One is non-levy, whereas actually there has been a levy of there has been a statutory levy of, let's say, 12% or 5%, but collectively the industry has not discharged the taxes. So it is a 0%. What I mean, they've considered it to be nil rated or exempt supplies and not discharge taxes on it. Again, there is a short levy, like an 18% tax is collected at 12% as a general practice. So the government has, provided for issuance of a notification and ratification of such a collective, incorrect interpretation. So let us think upon certain things with respect to this particular provision. Just because a notification is issued under Section 11A, does it qualify this entire supply to be an exempt supply? The answer is no, because Section 2, subsection 47, which defines exempt supply, there is no corresponding amendment to include supplies covered under 11A notification into this. Hence, the transaction will still be we may call it as a taxable supply itself, and not an exempt supply. Only thing is that government is ratifying the act by providing that there is no need to pay the differential tax or the entire tax which was not paid. Now, what happens to the ITC with respect to these kinds of transactions? If there is no tax which is collected and discharged, if we visit section 17, subsection 3, it provides that, the exempt supplies for the purpose of this, rule 42, 43 compliance, or yeah, so section 17, 1, 2, and 3 for that matter, 1 and 2 for that matter. So it provides rules may be prescribed for restricting ITC on certain supplies where the exempt supply will be broadened. The consideration of exempt supply will be broadened for the limited purpose of uh, uh, doing this ITC reversals per se. So probably we may expect amendment through rules or insertion of rules to include supplies notified under 11A, uh, on which ITC might be restricted. This probably will will be used in a situation where it was a 5% or a 12% or whatsoever rate, but as an industry, they treated it as exempt and no tax was paid. But if it is an 18% where 12 was discharged, probably there is no need for this. Only in this situation, this is my thought process that this provision might be used and a rule might be inserted for this purpose. Now, another important thing to consider is, what does general practice mean? Will it mean that like majority of the people, or is it like, an industry would represent before the council and they would consider issuing a notification to 11A? What if 25-30% of the people did not follow this general practice and still discharge the taxes as applicable in accordance with the law? So I would think that because Section 11A is worded and using the words such supplies, it would limit to only those supplies where the taxpayers have actually, discharged less tax or no tax. Those who have already discharged the right taxes, this 11A notification may not be applicable to them. So, like, just a thought process to think about what would be the meaning and coverage of such supplies. Would it be industry specific? Would it be product or service specific? To my mind, it would be transaction specific of those taxpayers who did follow this general practice and not otherwise. One more important aspect to consider here is this only covers non-levy and short levy. If there is an excess collection, let's say it was a 12% rate and an 18% was collected, that is not ratified using 11A. So notices under Section 76 can still continue since there would not be a shelter which is available under 11A. And of course, the risk of the corresponding ITC claims with respect to 76 notices would be there, and demands might have to be discharged using cash based on the case specific scenarios. Let's move on to the very important section.
11A,
Yes.
can we discuss some examples? Which are
Sir,
which are the cases where there is an urgent need to issue 11A?
Sir, I just thought I'll connect this to even one more amendment in 9(1), where if that
ENA.
ENA and ENA and spirit, which is there, where even that is treated as a non-leviable to GST supply. So,
We take these 11A examples. See what
yes,
happens is, if we have an example, then it is sort of help us relate to what we are reading here. Take the example of gaming industry.
Okay.
After all this big fight that they had, they said that they will not pay GST. And then DGI issued show cause notice, matter went to Supreme Court. High Court set aside, but department is very confident. People are saying that the government may not even be able to recover this demand if at all this demand were to come about. If they issue a 11A notification, take two taxpayers in the gaming business, A and B. A has paid tax on the margin.
Yeah.
He has paid 18% tax on 6% margin. There is a taxpayer B who has paid 18% tax on entire 100.
Entire 100, yeah.
Now you again go back to your questions. If you say that this is an exempt supply, the taxpayer B will now lose all his ITC. Taxpayer A, who has paid only on 6%, he has paid the correct rate of tax. He has paid less tax because of valuation issue. So is it an exempt supply? You suggested that there will be an amendment in the rule. How will it operate in A and B?
Sir, basically, this cannot be treated as an exempt supply only for the limited purpose of 17(3), where they have not discharged taxes at all.
Now we will see the language of 11A says shall not be required to be paid.
Paid. Yes, sir.
If it says it shall not be required to be paid, does not make it an exempt supply.
Correct, sir.
So
Correct, sir.
Rule
That is my
42
point.
cannot attract.
Um,
It is not required to be paid. Won't attract Rule 42.
Sir, if we look at 17.3, where some of the things are included, although they're not
So 17.3 is not being amended now.
it need not be, sir, because 17.3 only says such other supplies could be included over here.
No,
I'm
I
just taking that
agree.
up.
I
Yeah.
agree. I
Shall
agree.
include supplies, yes, sir. Yeah. As may be prescribed.
Now look at what's happening in this example. One person has paid tax. Both have paid tax at 18%. One fellow has paid 1% tax, 1.08% tax. That is 18% on 6% margin. Another person has paid full 18%.
18.
We cannot say that the person who paid tax on the abated value, he is not eligible for ITC. Of course, he is eligible for ITC. He collected 100, but he reported taxable turnover of 6 rupees, paid 18% tax. Whether he has an overflow of ITC or not, he is eligible for ITC. He can't be forcibly fit into Rule 42 also.
Yes, sir.
So whether these are consequential amendments that we say are necessary in order to give effect to 11A are actually necessary, we have to test. Another
Sir,
example.
yes,
Sorry.
can I give one more example, sir? Like this, branded, unbranded, like rice itself for that matter. Initially, they had all that confusion. Then they had to file a declaration. Some people did not file. So they didn't collect, they didn't pay it. So ideally, it was a 5% rate, but they did not pay on that. So that makes it a zero discharge of taxes now, sir. In such a case, be it those common credits for that matter, can that be allowed, sir? Because yes, this is not an exempt supply, but will 17.3 not be used to cut that ITC, sir?
No, but the issue is now not about 17.3.
Yes, sir. I mean, this is only a incidental thought, sir. Like, what happens to the ITC? This was a question which came up because definitely this is not exempt supply. 247 is not amended. And here also, 11A also, like you rightly said, the words used is need not pay those taxes. I mean, that is the.
Look what
Yes,
is
sir.
going to happen. Some people have paid, even if it is a minority. Vast majority have not paid. Generally prevalent practice of not paying tax has been noticed by the government. If they say that it is an exempt supply, then the small percentage of people who have complied with the law will stand to lose twice.
Correct, sir.
So they can't make an amendment in the rules. If they don't make an amendment, do you think people who have not paid tax will get away with a higher amount of credit? Answer is no, because they have paid only tax on 6%. See, we have to
so
be
the government will lose on the cash portion of that margin per se, if at all we may have to consider that way, sir.
No. See, now in 11A, we can't go into economics.
Yes, sir.
This is a disgraceful section, admitting that they have failed to interpret the law correctly.
And also bring in that discipline they failed to bring in that discipline in the taxpayers also to adhere to the correct classification, isn't it, sir?
So therefore, if you see in 11A, what are the other instances that can get covered? Can we say?
So one more situation, we had some sprayers, agricultural sprayers, where there was a issue that few were charging 18%, few were charging 12%. Later on, it was, one circular was issued, but again, that was not bringing in exact clarity. But industry per se, majority, they follow 12%. But again, in this case situation, we will not have an ITC issue because 18 became 12 and whatever in the invoices, purchase invoices, they took the ITC, that will be there.
So my reading is that 11A may not be issued on wholesale basis to wherever people are confused.
Huh.
11A is issued only in those cases where it has assumed enormous proportion, like gaming.
Gaming.
Otherwise,
Okay.
through this as is basis circular, they have resolved many disputes illegally. 11A will not be issued for all those cases. So we have to identify real instances where 11A will apply and then examine whether these consequential amendments will really come to pass.
Okay, sir. Sir,
Consider some more examples when you put
yes.
together.
Yes. Sir?
Consider some more examples when you put together that more.
Okay, sir. Sure. Sir, as far as this such supplies is concerned, the wordings used in 11A, such supplies, is it pertaining to only those? I mean, is it, we can't say it is product or service specific or even industry specific. No, sir, it is pertaining to only those people who did not levy or did not short levied and discharge taxes accordingly.
No, it is where the supply, not the supplier.
Okay. So, so that particular HSN, if we may consider it that way, entirely will get covered under 11A, irrespective of who has followed what.
Correct. And if anybody has paid the tax, they will not be eligible for any refund or anything.
Refund, yeah.
Which is why this 11A is not going to be used on wholesale basis. Very carefully, because they will be open to scrutiny. How did you do this? How did you allow this? All sorts of people are going to raise questions. Therefore, it will be used with great discretion as to which are the cases. Sujata madam suggested RWA. Madam, you want to say something?
Sir, will it be applicable, sir?
What do you think?
Some of them for RWA,
I
some of
mentioned
them are
earlier,
paid on.
some adventurous people who have not paid tax won't be eligible for 11A. It has to be a generally prevalent practice. There are 4 consultants in South India who have told their clients not to pay tax and get into trouble. But everybody else has said pay tax now.
That up to 7,500 or on the whole sum, that will not.
What do you
Circular is already there, no? And
do you think it might come?
My view, no, sir.
Sujata madam.
Yes, sir.
Varuma?
I don't know, sir. I couldn't understand what to say.
ஏதாவது பிஜேபியோ காங்கிரஸ் something you put vote நோட் ஆகிட்டால கிடையாதுங்க.
No, after the sudden retrospective introduction of that 7AA, will it, I mean, this has been introduced considering all that in mind is my understanding. So, was that my understanding? So, I don't know, sir.
எப்படி ஏதாவது ஓட் போடுங்க. ஃப்ளவரோ இல்ல கையோ போடுங்க.
Sir, one more point is with regard to this 11A, is the government going to notify certain class of places where there is an issue or where there was a confusion probably? Are they going to come up just like that PTA which was there?
See, they may only simply give a notification saying with respect to online gaming or ENA, and they'll issue a notification and not explain the background to the problem.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir.
That means taxpayers are free to assume, no, sir, this may be applicable for me and contest, or it is their wrong assumption and going ahead with this taking shelter or taking protection under this new amendment, sir?
I feel we should not take shelter under 11A because this 11A is a remedy available in the hands of the government, not in the hands of taxpayer. Taxpayer need to fight whatever they have to fight, like 16(4), like 128A, keep the case alive. But government, once it agrees that it is a nationwide problem, that means where trade associations are representing, Federation of Tax of Homeowners Association. It should go to the government through trade associations saying that across the board, nobody has been paying tax. In those cases, if government agrees, then they have a power now in 11A to give some relief. So we have to be very mindful that taxpayer cannot say, why don't you use 11A? That we cannot say. We have to only show that it is an industry-wide misinterpretation.
So the general practice, I mean, it's a very subjective.
Not subjective. General practice has to be demonstrably a practice prevalent generally. It cannot be subjective. I feel it is generally nobody is paying. That may not be. Then all fake bill cases also will be generally prevalent.
So I mean, they have to probably substantiate with some statistics and all, if at all they have to represent before the council. Yeah.
So the ideal thing would be for taxpayers associations to say that we have not been paying tax.
Mm.
And there should be some extent of acceptance of that view by department also. If large scale taxpayers have not been paying tax 5%, 12% rise, pre-package, etc., then they should be given show cause notice. Department also should have entertained a view that it is not taxable. So we have to be very careful. 11A might be used very frugally. Very few cases may fit within 11A. It may not be used liberally to cover all as is circulars. Whenever there is doubt, every court decision, they start throwing everything under 11A. 11A can basically distort
Classification.
the Act itself.
Yeah. It is
What
like,
about
I felt like, sir, mass bunk in the college, if the whole industry decide collectively, I mean,
But the industry does not have that kind of unity.
Sir, that recent Infosys, it's creating a lot of buzz now, sir. If Infosys itself has done, probably many other software companies also would have followed the same practice. So will it, I exactly.
199 and 210 circular is there, no, madam?
Okay.
For those cases.
Jatin sir, am I audible, sir?
Yes, madam.
Yeah, sir. Like this assets basis, we are able to see that there are a lot of circulars, lot of clarifications which are coming around. And they are issued based on this, I think 168, they are clarifying. So where they are getting that power to take it as an assets basis, is it that power which you are getting from 11A?
No,
Because
how
of
can
that,
they exercise 11A power in the past, madam? Section has come only now.
Yeah, that is what. So because there was no powers, have they brought 11A as similar to 11C of excise, or is it something a special power which has been introduced in 11A? Because where is that power of assets basis, sir? I was just trying to understand from where they are getting that power actually to come out saying that for this kind of industry or for this kind of specific, they can come out with like 200 circular, 200 by 2023 circular, where we are seeing that many of the assets basis has been introduced. So where is that power which they are getting? Because is it from 11 or which section is giving that power, sir?
Madam, you know the answer. There is no section.
Yeah, sir. So I was just
they were doing it under 168.
Yeah.
Basically telling department officers not to take action. And they have now realized that so many cases they are having to give as is basis circular.
Correct.
So therefore, they have created 11A. But 11A will not replace as is circulars. As is circulars will continue because there is implication by issuing under 11A compared to as is circular. So I think both will exist. Non-serious cases where it's impossible they want to resolve the dispute. Ice cream is 18% or 5%. All these cases, they're going to continue under 168. After all, what is 168? Ensuring uniformity of administration across the country. If officers don't issue show cause notice, that is also a way of resolving, isn't it?
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Shall I move to the next provision, sir?
Right.
Madam, this is a big disincentive to a compliant taxpayer.
Absolutely correct.
Somebody who has actually paid will suffer, and somebody who has not paid will get the benefit. He will go manage at the highest level and whatever. Anyway, but this is nothing short of litigation, because even the finance bill number 2, they they are comparing this to the erstwhile central excise, I think 11B. Section 11B was something similar to Section 11A now. And I think even in customs, I think they are saying some 28A, something similar. But I know even this 11B of central excise was challenged. And it went up to the Supreme Court, and then eventually the court said that it struck it down. They only give relief to those cases where notices were served. I think it was some Connaught Plaza case, wherein they give relief only to those cases where notices are served, not for others. So we don't know the efficacy. Yes, selectively the government will try to bring in something. Somebody may benefit, somebody will not benefit. And somebody being a compliant taxpayer, if he has paid, then I think he has lost the money. He will not get.
So you're right, Vijay sir, but compliance is not to find support from the government. Compliance is itself the reason for compliance. You're right, absolutely right.
So, any more questions or?
Sir, one more
options?
basic doubt, sir. This similar section is there in IGST Act also, Compensation Cess Act also, and UGST Act also. Sir, why can't they would have brought this under Section 20 itself of IGST? Why separately they brought under IGST, sir? This one, like this section.
What answer for that one? You only try to give answer.
I know, I was just trying to connect. Why this? Because other exemptions are there. I think they would have brought this also, no, sir, under that, so that commonly, because it is a exemption which will be given as a matter of general practice. So is it some special power which is required under the special act, or is it, can it be referred from the?
Madam, this is not an exemption, no, madam. They're only.
No, I'm
No.
saying not exactly. I'm talking exemption.
No, you're-
I'm saying
You know the
just to,
answer.
yeah,
They could have done that also. They could have done this
yeah.
also.
Okay.
They could have made masala dosa or plain dosa. They have made plain dosa. What to do?
Yeah, sir. I thought there is some reason behind that. So that,
No,
yes.
no.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so I move on to the next provision, Section 74E. Now, where determination of taxes not paid, short paid, ITC wrongly availed, utilized, or erroneous refunds with effect from financial year 24-25 onwards for whatsoever reasons. So they've irrespective of whether it is a tax evasion case or a non-tax evasion case, there is a common section which is being introduced, and of course 73 and 74 will be applicable till financial year 23-24 till that time. Now, a couple of important things to consider in this 74A. Firstly, there is a common time limit for issuance of notice and order for both the categories of cases. It is 42 months from the due date of furnishing the annual return, and order to be passed 12 months, within 12 months plus the 6 months which could be extended based on the reasons for delay. So that makes it a 5-year period for the issuance of the order, which is the maximum. So in if we correspond it to the previous provision, the time limit for notice was derived from order per se. Here the time limit for order starts ticking after the issuance of notice. So early issuance of notice will have a quicker limitation period for the passing of the order, and vice versa. Of course, they've brought in one proviso to say that if the value of tax is less than 1,000 rupees, then no notice can be issued. And one subtle difference in the terminology used as far as penalty is concerned. So in the new provision 74A, it uses the word equal to tax due from such person. Whereas in the previous provision, the wordings used was equal to tax specified in the notice. So, of course, section 74A subsection 5 has been inserted to prescribe the penalty for both the situations. We can definitely correlate to the older provision which ran into different subsections. 73(9) can be correlated to 74A 5I, and 74(1) can be correlated to subclause 2. Anyway, so as far as this penalty slabs are concerned, for non-fraudulent cases, if it is paid within 60 days of show cause notice, issuance of show cause notice, then there is no penalty. For fraudulent cases, it is before SCN 15%, 60 days of SCN 25%, 60 days of order, it is 50%. Earlier, it was 30 days of notice and 30 days of order. I think these are a couple of changes if we look at from a 74A perspective compared with the previous provisions. So probably the first point which I thought could be worth discussing is penalty equivalent to tax specified in the notice versus tax due from such person. So let's say in the notice, the tax is specified. Probably if we have to take an example, this example was given by Jatin sir once. So it was a sin goods, and the notice had missed out demanding compensation cess. So if going by the previous provision, if the tax is not specified in the notice per se, penalty could not have been levied. But here the words used is due from such person. So tomorrow, if the appellate authority takes up under 107(11) and issues a show cause notice, probably the penalty could even be levied with respect to what is not specified in the notice, but might be legally due because of the wordings used in the section. Sir, I might be wrong, but I don't know. I just thought this could be one of the reasons for usage of such words. So please correct me if I'm not wrong.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, okay. So of course, and this notice which is issued, there is a minimum value of minimum, 1,000 plus rupees to be, and of course, this would be each category. I mean, each category wise, like CGST, SGST, UTGST, and IGST per se. And we also are seeing so many ridiculous notices under section 74. Whatever DRC3 has been discharged, even nominal interest notices are being issued. Here in the section, what is specified as a proviso to 74A subsection 1 is 1,000 rupees tax. So if interest is less than the 1,000 rupees, would it be sustainable? Going by the technical language, the bar is only with respect to tax. So probably they can still continue issuing such notices as well. So going forward, we may expect DRC 1A to be issued under 74A subsection 8. And also the DRC 3, I think rules will be amended accordingly. And DRC 3, all these while we were, discharging, stating 73(5) in most of the cases. So that will also come under 74A 8. From financial, I have a case where an inspection was conducted for 24-20 during, May 24-25, and they've already issued a show cause notice for this year. So because of this amendment, so they'll have to, they'll have to issue a fresh notice under 74A, and 74 will not have jurisdiction for 24-25 matters once this act, gets the provisions of the Finance Act gets notified. I have another interesting scenario let's say an RCM transaction pertaining to 1718 was discharged in 24-25. Let's say a wrong rate of RCM was applied. Now, differential demand, should it be demanded under 73-74 or 74A? Transaction pertains to 1718, but tax discharged in 24-25. To my mind, it is still 73-74 because it is a transaction pertaining to 1718. So,
What is basis?
sir?
What is basis? Because you have to look at the time of supply or cause of action.
So the provision says that 74A12, it says that transactions pertaining to the period. No, sir?
So you're saying the transaction should take place in 74, in 24. No, we have the section, we have section. Does it?
Yeah.
So you're saying pertaining to means the transaction should take place in 24-25.
Yes, sir. So the provisions of this section shall be pertaining to financial year, sir. Yeah.
See, now let us take an example. Let's take your example further.
Huh.
If you say it is a short payment of tax, when did the short payment occur?
Yeah.
If you say it is non-payment to the extent of the deficit, when did it occur?
So if it is a short payment, the discharge happened in 24-25. It is non-payment. It belongs to transaction of 1718. Sir.
So it all depends on how they draft the show cause notice.
So and we
what
get to take this
No, what
point. Sir. Yes, sir.
You
Sorry, sir.
finish. You please finish.
So yes, sir. So I mean, if they take it up under 73 or 74, we can definitely add this as a ground. Or if they take it up under 74A, we can do it the other way. Yeah.
It depends on what the cause of action they initiate, and therefore what reply we take. I'll give another example. March, let's say March 24, we have purchased and not paid the supplier. We have taken input tax credit, purchased something, not paid the supplier in March 24. Department does audit and says that you have not paid your supplier, so you are liable to reverse the credit because of Rule 37. Should they issue notice under 73 for 23-24 or 74A for 24-25?
So like you said, the cause of action is coming up in 24-25. So it should be under 74A, sir. Which
means the reply to notice must say you don't have assignment for 24-25. I will not even give you creditor ledger for 24-25. You understand? Now let us say department goes and gets an assignment for doing the audit for 24-25. Can they now say that you have taken credit in 23-24 and you have not paid the creditor in 24-25? Therefore, I will issue notice under 74A. In 24-25, they cannot.
It is not a transaction of 24-25. Got it, sir. Yeah.
In 24-25, if they have an assignment, whether they will be able to go into the opening balance breakup, because opening balance breakup verification can be viewed as auditing the input tax credit claimed in 23-24 for which they don't have assignment. So therefore, the reply needs to focus on what is the relevancy of the tax period when the cause of action arises, and many demands under 74A can be erroneously made, and the defense may itself be invoking wrong powers and issuing notice under the wrong.
So now they cannot merge 23-24 and 24-25 audit periods, no, sir?
Audit can be merged, but notices cannot be the same document. All right, please proceed.
Sir, one more point, sir. What you're saying is, if you read 74, they are saying it is only up to 23-24, up to March. And
Hmm.
this has come in between of the year. So this will be retrospective from 1/4/2024, no, sir? Or anything will come for transition time. So they have to come from 1/4/24, right?
Correct.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah. So any more points from anybody else, or shall I move to 128A?
Sir, one more question, sir. In 122 subsection 2, we had a similar provision. So is it something they have incorporated in 74A, or 74A has to be read along with 122 too, sir?
No requirement to amend 122 because 122(2) perfectly aligns with 74A5.
Okay. Okay. Earlier there was something, but I think now it is in alliance. Okay.
Which are the amendments that is not made in 75 corresponding to 74A, madam? Annapurna, madam.
Yes, sir. Okay.
Yes.
Sorry, I just closed.
No, I mean, sir.
Which are the
Mysore?
amendments in, yeah, you only, madam. Mysore
Yeah.
avare.
Eh,
Which
okay,
are the
sir.
amendments in 75
Huh.
that is not made in line with 74A? And what is the danger of omission? One is there, 2 is not there,
Yes, sir.
3, 4, 5, 6,
5, 6,
7, 8,
8,
9 is
9.
not there.
ಹೌದು ಸರ್.
So ಏನಾಗ್ತಿ ಇವಾಗ ಪ್ರಾಬ್ಲಮ್? Any significant danger for taxpayer by
So
this
75/7 I see a problem, sir. 75/7.
ಹೇಳಿ what happens? No,
Andre, if the order, if the demand in the order exceeds either the value in the notice or ground which is specified in the notice issued under 74A, so that is not explicitly covered, or reference amendment is not made over there. Specific amendment.
75/7 refers to 73/74.
Oh, no, sir. No. Yeah.
So therefore is 75/7 not applicable to 74A notices?
It would be, sir. I stand corrected. It would be, sir.
So therefore, which are the clauses where 74A has not been referred, and which of them 75 jurisprudence will apply? So which are the clauses where 75 will not apply? Anyway, when you make this note, you should trace it in the table, saying what
Sure,
will
sir.
apply. See, what will apply by explicit inclusion is in the screen. What is apply implicitly can also be mentioned, so that there's nothing to be so we can identify what are the area of concern.
Sir, one more point, sir. This in 74A, if you read with 74, there was a comma after this fraud actually. But now, if you see in 74A, sir, that comma is removed. So will it has any impact in the 74A, sir? Because if you read the earlier, I read in your book only, sir, Jatin, sir. So there is a, we were discussing on that. So there is a reason of fraud or any willful misstatement or suppression of facts. So now if we read in this,
With an intent.
yeah.
Sorry, sir. Please go.
I didn't hear the full question.
Sir, I just want to say that there is a, in 74, we had earlier by reason of fraud or any willful misstatement or suppression of facts to evade the taxes, right? So now,
Right.
if we see in 74A, where they have incorporated, in some paras, we are saying that it is other than reason of fraud or any willful misstatement or suppression of fact to evade tax, there is a comma, sir, actually. So will it has any impacts that this has to be read for all fraud or any willful misstatement or suppression, or it has to be read only for suppression of facts?
See, from the reference to that comma in 73/74 gave us the understanding that evasion of tax will apply to both willful misstatement as well as suppression.
Yes, sir.
Today, this super added ingredient of evasion is made explicit to apply to fraud also. Even fraud should touch evasion of tax. So this evasion of tax cannot be missing in a notice, even if it is demanding tax on account of fraud. So I think you're right. This point I missed. This is definitely a significant omission of that comma. So therefore, it makes it even more stringent as far as how evasion will be examined. That
Okay.
evasion has to be necessary even in fraud cases.
Okay.
Thank you.
So this first point, sir, penalty, the usage of wordings is like tax due from such person. Any significance on that, sir?
What do you think?
I mean, if the tax amount is missed out to be specified, can penalty go beyond the tax amount as well?
No, I don't think so. I don't.
So there is no much significance for this change in the words. Sir. Okay.
I would think. I would.
Oh, okay. Shall I move to the next one, sir?
Please.
No, madam, I think it looks like the department has miserably failed in collecting the demand under 74. Because there they have to prove fraud, suppression of facts, misrepresentation. And many places, assessors have started questioning it. Now, for example, you spoke about 67. In Karnataka itself, we have seen after 67, they were issuing notice under 73. In fact, once you issue notice under 73, section 67 collapses. But unfortunately, that is what people have been doing. Now the department will say, after 67, they'll say, okay, issue notice under 74A. So they don't have to say, it's okay, with the fraud, no fraud. 74A, at least initial stage of notices will succeed, will
Yeah.
continue, and over a period of time, okay, instead of fraud, okay, they'll bring back to you under 74, rather than earlier we were saying your notice itself was wrong, or something like that. I think basically they are trying to safeguard their own position. I don't think we will get any relief in this as a taxpayer.
So I also remember one case which Jatin sir had shared, like, DRC 1A was issued without mentioning any section. So, so the very questioning was done as to whether it is 73 or 74, and by then the time limit for issuance of notice got over. So I think those, by making one common section, they are going to overcome such situations as well. Is it so, sir?
See here, the time limit of 42 months will be common in both cases, but they
Yes.
have to issue it under 74A 5.1 or 5.2. If they say 74A without specifying whether it is with aggravated penalty or not, taxpayer may still be in the same position and may still take the same defenses that this notice is unintelligible. I agree with Vijay sir's comments. Completely failed to issue notices correctly.
So going forward, the section 75(2) will be limited to kind of penalty, because that's why they brought in 75(2)(a), and 75(2) might lose its significance and be limited only to 73 and 74 only now. So because no corresponding change as well.
Something like that.
Yeah.
Sir, in respect of this, this demand and appropriation method, so because of the word they changed earlier, tax specified, and now it is equal to tax due. Earlier, because of this demand and appropriation method, they used to levy penalty on the gross amount. Now, because of the change in the word, penalty equivalent to tax due, can we say now that because penalty will be levied only on the net amount only after appropriation?
Can we do that? I don't think so, my lord.
Okay, sir.
It will amount to expanding the scope of 88D into 122. May not be, but we still give it some thought because it's a good point.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
So basically, if you have to summarize 74A, madam, what do you think? Is there anything spectacular that they have done in 74? Or if they have done anything, 3 points, can you suggest, please? Because 1,000 rupees alla beda namge. Adalla yarigu barala.
Yes, sir. Sir,
Anything spectacular with 74A?
Sir, first thing is they kept on extending the dates for issuing
In
notice.
74A, what is the spectacular thing in 74?
74 years, sir. I mean, they brought in an inbuilt penalty provision within the section.
No.
Probably.
122 will still be applicable. What is spectacular in 74A? If nothing, then you can say nothing. But is there anything spectacular in 74A?
That the time limit confusion is done away with.
No, spectacular new thing in this section. Because when we discuss 74A at length, ultimately for the people who are not interested in studying 74A, what 3 things should they focus on? What is new in 74A? That is really spectacular. Maybe later you can summarize it. It'll help.
Sure. So coming to the next provision 128A, where there is a conditional waiver of interest or penalty or both relating to section 73 demands for certain periods. So it comes with a set of conditions, some are applicable conditions and some scenarios where this provision is not applicable. Firstly, there should be a ongoing list for this waiver to be applicable. Either show cause notice should have been issued under 73(1) or statement of demand under 73(3), and still it is in the process of adjudication and order in original is not yet issued. The second scenario is order in original is issued, first appeal filed, but first appellate authority has not passed the order, or the matter has been taken up by the revisionary authority under 108 pending the passing of the order. The third situation is first appellate authority or the revisional authority also has passed the orders, but awaiting to file the second, appeal before the tribunal, pre-deposit made, or intentions to continue the litigation. So these are the 3 categories of demands which are subject matter of the litigation, where this conditional waiver of interest or penalty is applicable. So the periods covered is the first 3 years. Of course, July 17 to March 18 is a part period, then 18, 19 and 19, 20. So it includes the part periods comprised therein as well. So the condition is that whatever the amount has been specified in the SCN or the SOD or OIO or OIA must be paid in full on or before the notified date, a date which will be notified for the applicability of this section. Above benefits are also available for a case fitting under 75(2), where at the higher forum it was the tax evasion was not proved and it was deemed to be a proceeding under 73 and not under 74. And in case of the first appellate authority passing the orders or even the further orders passed by the tribunal or the court, if at all it is leading to an enhancement of demand, such additional amount must also be paid, and that has to be paid within 3 months of the order. So these are the conditions for 128A applicability, and which are the situations where it is not applicable. One, if interest and penalty has already been discharged, there is no refund which is applicable. And if it is a matter pertaining to erroneous refunds, again, the scheme is not applicable. And to get the benefit under this scheme, the right to litigation has to be surrendered kind, or it has to be withdrawn. The appeals or the writ petitions, if any, filed before the appropriate forum, needs to be withdrawn on or before the notified date. And after paying this amount, no further appeal or writ must be filed. So if these conditions are all fulfilled, then only this scheme, the taxpayer would be eligible to claim the benefit of this conditional waiver of interest or penalty under the scheme. Let's take an example where, let's say, the matter is before the first appellate authority, and 10% of pre-deposit is made. So somebody wants to avail the benefit of this scheme. Let's say 1 lakh rupees is the pre-deposit which has been paid, and the balance 9 lakhs needs to be paid. So is it like one needs to pay 10 lakhs and again apply for this 1 lakh refund? Or can it be appropriated? To my mind, one has to pay 10 lakhs and 1 lakh has to be claimed as a refund. There is no provision to appropriate this pre-deposit as could be seen. I mean, this is what I would think so. And let's take an example where the OIO had a demand of 10 lakh rupees, but OIA reduced it to 6 lakh rupees. So what is the amount that needs to be paid? If let's say it is not yet discharged, or recovery has not yet been initiated, because the taxpayer is willing to fight it in the next forum as well, because it is a reduced demand, and going by the conditions which is specified therein, it says that full amount of tax specified in SCN or SOD or OIO or OIA. So since what is presently applicable is OIA, so the demand of the reduced demand of 6 lakhs needs to be paid, and that would take care of the fulfillment of the condition. What if OIA has put up a higher demand? Probably a show cause notice was issued under 10711, and a higher demand is there. Again, the amount would be that higher demand what OIA, what has been finalized in OIA. If there is a single document where a few issues pertaining to few issues are getting covered under 73 and few under 74, will the scheme apply? To my mind, it would be like, issue specific. Wherever it is 73 matters, it would still apply, and not document specific. So these were a couple of things which I thought we would discuss about it.
Alpuna, I think it is not a issue based, it will be order based. Because if we read the first para, it gives an order. So I think this scheme, this 128A is based on order and not based on issue, what I'm trying to understand here. Right?
Correct.
Yeah.
Hello?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Issue is order wise, madam.
Sir, I mean, my thought was like the notice has been, let's say, issued under 74. Tomorrow, owing to 75 too, let's say few issues got converted into 73 and few got retained under 74. To the extent of that conversion, this scheme will apply to 73 but not to 74.
How will they convert it issue wise? 75(2). Does 75(2) permit issue wise modification? No, sir.
Okay. Sir.
Also, just a small query. The
Yeah.
conversion of 74 to 73 would happen only under adjudication, right, sir? Otherwise, it wouldn't.
Appeal.
Okay. So after it is adjudicated, go to the appeal stage and then got it. Okay.
Yeah. which means, let's say we have a show cause notice today. If we want to fit within 128A, either we should not proceed with adjudication, and if department hurriedly passes the order, should we file appeal and then avail 128A, or should we not file appeal? Because
So
anyway 128A is available.
yeah, but it might take some time to get notified and all that. No? So they may proceed with the recover 79 within 3 months. If payment is not met, they may start the recovery action.
There are a lot of instances where show cause notice reply says relief under 128A is eligible, therefore don't proceed with adjudication. We have to be very careful not to use 128A in reply to show cause notice or as a reason for we have to keep the case alive.
Alive, yeah.
Now, should we pay 100% pre-deposit or still only 10% pre-deposit to file appeal?
I mean, definitely we have to pay the pre-deposit, but again, after paying pre-deposit, we'll still have to pay the whole amount and then take refund of this pre-deposit.
The officer also knows 128A. Officer says, anyway, I have target this month. Anyway, you are going to pay the full amount. I will not take action on interest and penalty. Why don't you pay full 100% pre-deposit?
Sir, appropriation of pre-deposit to tax for 128A scheme, we are not aware how it works. No, sir. Like, I mean, it might not work that way because it is asking to pay as tax and not as pre-deposit. So that might be a risky situation.
But if you
To
see
pay
142 2A amendment, 142 2B amendment, where they're saying you have to go to the portal and adjust the liability itself. And Circular 224 says all pre-deposits paid via DRC3, you need to go and file this, and then they will make an application in DRC3A, so on and so forth. Even if officer requests to pay the full tax, we may not be permitted to pay the full tax.
Yes, sir.
I will give another example. There is a show cause notice that says it's a demand and appropriation show cause notice. There is no tax payable. They issued show cause notice for tax, appropriating the payment already made, and then interest and penalty. Will such notices be covered where the demand is only for interest and penalty? So because the payment, if they say you have to pay under the scheme, I have already paid through 3B or DRC3.
So in this instance, we got a show cause where the language is why it should not be apportioned.
Yeah, the language will be like that, Abhishek. But the question is whether such notices will be debarred from this scheme.
Principally shouldn't be, no, sir.
Ayo, inge principle gottagalla.
Okay. Yeah.
So
He's paid on or before the notified date. So
But
even
it's
already
subsequent to a notice.
Okay.
to me, it should be covered, sir.
No,
So we'll have to ask the officer
bring all the cases to Abhishek for arbitration.
So we'll have to ask the officer to include that demand, appropriate it, and then
You're not. You have to give me a proper solution. Advice worthy suggestion you have to give. Not give study circle suggestions.
The section starts with notwithstanding anything to the contrary contained in this act, where any amount of tax is payable by a person. So
I have a show cause notice only for interest and appropriation. Not eligible.
If I read this phrase where any amount of tax is payable.
So can we take the stand that since DRC 03 was done and DRC 04 was not done by the officer, and they have issued a show cause notice now, so they have not considered a tax to be paid as on date.
So then,
with,
yeah.
with that background, can we consider this to be a matter of 128A?
No, I'm only saying maybe you
So
have
for
to file refund application for
refund,
the
exactly,
tax.
sir. Yeah.
No, no.
Yeah.
1 minute. Let me finish. No, why are you hijacking my sentence?
Sorry, sir.
We have to consider very carefully before the before 128A gets notified. We have to consider whether refund application has to be made, or whether we have to go back to the officer and ask them to demand the tax, or if the scheme gets notified, whether we have to pay 100 rupees under the tax column so that the form gets filled out correctly. We may have many borderline cases. We should not hurriedly give an opinion to clients saying, yeah, you're covered by 128A without studying the structure of the notice.
Why do you mention that we should not mention 128A in our reply? If they're
Correct.
calling for PH and all, so why we should not mention 128A or rather 16.4? Why we should not mention 16.5?
See, by mentioning 128, 16.5 will come to later. That I think once the presentation starts on that topic, we'll go there.
Okay, sir.
If we mention 128A, that means we are admitting the liability.
Oh.
Correct, no?
So
Then it will
what
become
about
an undisputed arrear. 7512.
so,
Be very careful.
We would close the options of doing further litigation if we admit on that. Yeah.
Correct. So keep it open, because A, B, or C, whichever clause will apply whenever it gets notified, at that time it should be open.
Sir, in a case where the matter was taken up for audit for 4 years together, same issue was identified even for the second, third, and fourth year, but the notice was issued collectively for the 4 years entirely under 74. But the subsequent periods would fall under 73, no, sir, in such a case.
See, a notice is either fully under 73 or fully under 74. There is no partial severability of notices. You have to appropriately examine.
Sir, one more aspect here, like they have not notified till what date your appeal order should be concluded or till what time it should be filed. So, is it something, can we cover this time barred cases also, sir, here? Will it get covered, those time barred cases where they are filed based on that bank attachment and all? So, strictly speaking, whether those cases are covered in 128 days? Because they have not notified.
Which clause will it fit under, madam?
No,
Notice has been issued, order has not passed. Order is issued, but appeal order is not passed.
Yeah.
Which case will it fit under?
No, now adjudication order is passed and appeal is filed beyond time limitation. So it will take the original order position only, na, sir, because it is rejected based on time limitation. So
The appeal is rejected.
Yeah.
The order is passed.
Hmm.
Order has reached finality.
Yeah.
How will it fit within clause
No,
B?
that's why it is not. So will it go to 70? Yeah.
No, I think it is. It won't be covered by 128A.
So it will not cover. So all time barred cases will have an issue then.
I'll give an example. Time barred case, file appeal. Get the appeal dismissed by first appellate authority on the ground of limitation. Now the case is covered by clause C, because there is a question of validity of service itself to be decided by tribunal.
Yes.
They fit within clause C. Nodia.
Okay, sir. In on the point, sir, can you just put that second provision of this 128A?
Yeah.
Yeah. Sir, this first provision is for 75(2). Now, if we read this second provision, sir, like provided further that the conclusion of the proceedings under the subsection, in case when an application is filed or by the department proceedings, all this is there.
Additional tax.
Sir. So, for example, I have filed an appeal and department also has raised certain cross objection on certain issues, sir. So,
Right.
so now my issue is whether on the objections which are raised by the department, whether on those issue I am supposed to pay, or is it as a whole order, sir? Because if I read here, it says shall be subject to the condition that the said person pays the additional amount of tax payable in accordance with the order of the appellate authority or appellate tribunal or the court or the revisional authority, as the case may be. So, how to read that way, sir? This.
If department goes in appeal
Huh.
or the case is taken up for SMR
Hmm.
and there an additional amount is determined, then anyone who has gone for 128A will have to pay the additional amount determined in those proceedings also.
Okay. So, within 3 months, sir.
Correct.
Yeah, in 3 months. Otherwise, it is up to next year, but only in this case, we have a restriction of time to be make a payment within that time, right, sir?
Correct. Within the SMR order, within 3 months, we have to pay it.
Yeah. So what I was saying is, on one hand, we are having June, March 25, but here it is very specifically they brought in into. So only for additional amount, we have that time.
Correct.
Yes.
Sir, as far as this 107(3) and 112(3) is concerned, they call it as an application filed by department. So APL 3 and APL 7 are applications and not appeals. I mean, it is only a terminology difference or anything else it means. Huh?
Because section uses the word application.
Yeah, okay. I'll move on to the next section for discussions.
Yes.
Yeah.
One
So-
point to add,
Yeah.
one point to add here.
Yeah.
So we've discussed quite a lot. I mean, from my side, as I see, this is like permanent amnesty scheme for those 3 financial years under 73. It is brought through the Act itself. Whoever wants to avail, they'll avail. The question is, I have not filed an appeal. The department has filed an appeal. Even that is covered. If I read that 128A, the department files an appeal. They will not withdraw. The order will go through. Once the order comes, then I think they've given us 3 months time to pay. Then it will end there. I mean, that is the interpretation I get when you read 128A.
You're right, sir.
Sir, it is not purely amnesty scheme also, sir, actually, because they have not given issue-based benefit. They have not covered many cases notice where 74 are issued and it's pending. And so I think it is just a closing the proceedings or to reduce the litigation. I think they have come out, sir.
Madam, amnesty for section 73 alone for those 3 years through the Act. All along amnesty, we were having a separate scheme. So this time they brought it through the Act itself. And of
Yeah.
course, specific to section 73 and for those 3 years only,
Yes.
not beyond.
Sir, ಇದು second provision department appeal, it is not, it is somewhere it is not restricting, sir, our rights, sir, because they will come out, na, sir, for cross objections, and somehow because of the scheme we get pressurized to make a payment, na, sir.
Yes, it will cause prejudice. But going in for the amnesty itself will not be the reason to support department's claim.
Okay.
Appellate authority cannot take cognizance of assessee going in for the scheme. Appellate authority will have to examine the departmental appeal on its own merits.
Okay. Okay.
So going to the next provision, 16.5. So ITC claims from 17-18 till 2021 financial years, of course, July 2017 to March 2021, could be claimed up to 30th November 2021. Of course, this comes as a non-obstant clause and as far as 16.4 is concerned. So two scenarios are covered here. One is belated filing of 3B. So, the old returns itself are filed belatedly. The second category is the ITC pertain to old period, but that were part of subsequent 3Bs, but the cutoff date is 30th November 21. So let's take up a case where, 16.4 was the only issue in the notice, and as per the facts of the case, it squarely covers under 16.5. So first appellate authority has passed an order disallowing the ITC claim. So the only way out would be to file the second appeal and include this 16.5 once it gets notified as the ground. So I think this is the only recourse which is available, and without filing second appeal, this relief under 16.5 cannot be claimed in this situation. Any other viewpoints on this?
We're trying to find a logic for 16.5, is it?
No, sir. I mean, if first appellate authority has passed an order and our case squarely gets covered under 16.5, we don't have any other recourse than to file second appeal and get the benefit of this provision applicable to our case, no, sir?
In the tribunal appeal,
Huh.
we will be able to quote 16.5, unlike 128A.
Huh.
The entire demand is liable to be set aside in view of 16.5.
Huh.
Proof that returns were filed within 30 November will be forthcoming from the show cause notice itself.
Yes, sir. Huh.
What was the question?
So, I mean, without filing the second appeal, we cannot get the benefit, although law got amended. That was my point, sir.
Any views on that? Now, let us say it gets enacted. What will happen to present demands? Can we go under 161?
That's what, sir. That's what. Yeah.
Can we go under 161?
It is not a mistake apparent on record. It is a change in the law. So, to my mind, I felt 161 we can't go with that provision.
No, this is a change in the law.
Huh.
Change in the law affecting those financial years. So it is apparent on record. In fact, officers should recall all orders.
So Jharkhand High Court has, taken on all the matters of 16.4 upon this only.
What have they done?
So they've passed an order that since an amendment is proposed, so all these matters is kept aside.
So there's no decision now.
Yeah, no decisions.
So change in law can also lead to a mistake apparent on records.
Yeah. Especially when the change in law affects the relevant financial year.
So
if the change in law affects the law, then it will be, no?
Yeah, so that way we'll definitely be saving the pre-deposit for the second course of litigation.
Exactly. So that is the difference in contrast to 128A.
So I'll move to the next provision, 16 subsection 6.
Madam,
Which
one thing, madam.
Yes,
You
yes.
said 30th November 2021.
Yeah.
It is not for all the years. I think my reading of the clause says, let's say 1819, they said that year 30th November of the next financial year. For example, 1819, it is 30th November 2000.
21-22 onwards.
Let him finish.
Sorry.
Madam, when you read through the clause, you are reading this clause, they are clearly saying 30th November, because earlier those years, it used to be 30th September. or whatever, that date filing of return in October. Subsequently, it got extended to November. Now, my reading of the clause says for 17-18 virtually it not help because already date was extended up to March 2019. For 18-19, 19-20, it will be the 30th of the following year. I don't think for 19-20 I can get the benefit up to 30th of November 2021. I mean, if you read through the clause, they have slightly extended, giving the benefit of the subsequent amendment that has happened in the Act. And this is my reading of the clause. Because you said for all the years it will be 30th of November 2021. I don't think so that is the position.
I think so, sir. Whichever financial year, if 30 November 21 you have filed your returns, whether 17-18 or 2021, if 30 November is the date you have filed it, then you are saved.
I read it as that year, sir. I mean, kindly examine, madam, because my interpretation was that year.
The language on the screen.
Notwithstanding anything contained in subsection 4, in respect of an invoice or debit note for supply of goods or services or both pertaining to financial years 17-18, 18-19, 19-20, and 20-21, the RP shall be entitled to take ITC in any return under section 39, which is filed up to 30th day of November 2021. So for 21-22 onwards, the Act itself got amended with effect from 1st of October 22, which says that 30th November. So ideally, this is for all the periods that way.
Yeah. Yes, yes. Okay, thank you.
Yeah. So shall I move to the next provision 16.6?
1 minute.
Yeah.
Sir, 16.5, you're saying basis this, the officer has to make correction of his order. Is that the only way?
No, not the only way. It is one of the way. Appeal can also be filed.
We can parallelly file a 161 application. If that works out, then we will save on the pre-deposit. If that doesn't work out, we don't have an option. We have to file the appeal.
That's fine. But how do we insist the officer that 161 he has to do it?
No, you
Probably
can't insist. You can request. If he agrees, he will do it. If he doesn't agree, you have to go in appeal. So keep the appeal timeline in mind when you are pursuing this rectification route.
Okay.
Okay, going to the next.
But is there a option of rectification, sir? Because the law will be amended at a later point of time. Will the officer be able to consider this request, sir, for rectification?
See, if time limitation permits, because nowadays we are seeing a great hurry to collect pre-deposit, appellate authorities are disposing of 16.4 orders, appeals.
Correct, sir.
So instead of filing another 10% and going to tribunal whenever tribunal starts, file one rectification before the appellate authorities, because it will be within 6 months. You can file it and ask for a rectification saying that the budget has been passed and enacted, let us say next month or the month following, so that you don't have to wait for tribunal, another 10%, so on and so forth, because this is a lost cause. Because it is only going to be cosmetic to file an appeal to tribunal.
So then even for the lower level adjudication or the first adjudication level also, we can take a rectification option, sir, or is it only for appellate?
If the time limit to do rectification is still open, file rectification without forfeiting the time limit for appeal.
Okay.
Under 117, keep that 3 months in mind, file rectification, provided in the next 1 or 2 months, the orders get passed. See, for 2021, if you have got a 73-74 notice, it is possible that most adjudication time is barred, but 74 officer may have kept it pending. So quickly push for hearing for disposal. If they have already passed orders in the last 1 month, file rectification because you still have 2 more months to file appeal. But if appellate authority has passed orders, you have much longer period to go to tribunal, file rectification and try. While we are waiting for tribunal to be formed, it would help to file a rectification because the law has been revised.
So I
So,
take a situation, sir. Now, say for the order is passed on, say 31st August for 1920. Whereas still I have time for appeal. We keep 3 months. So it is 30th November. So as on date, can I take I will file an appeal also, and can I apply for a rectification? Can I do two things, sir?
What I would suggest is don't file rectification after filing appeal. File rectification before filing appeal. Mention in the statement of facts that rectification has been filed, no response received up to the date of filing this appeal. In case of any change in the order, DRC 8 is issued, then you can always file a withdrawal of appeal to the appellate authority.
That's right, sir. That's right. Yes, sir.
But
Correct, sir.
don't we miss out the appeal time waiting for rectification to be responded. Even if the officer says, don't worry, na ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಡ್ತೀನಿ, keep the appeal in mind, but definitely rectification in this case is very much justified.
Okay. Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
for that matter, even notice, as far as notice is concerned, that can also be subject matter of 167, 161, no, sir? It says any
Notice-
communication.
No. Notice is a view they are canvassing. You have to reply. Notice has to end with adjudication. Notice cannot end with 161.
Here, or notice or.
No.
That is not the
like-
show cause notice.
Yeah.
Sir, that brings me to your question about what is significant about that section 74A.
Right.
Like currently all of the adjudication matters are sort of disposed of in a hurry because they have very less time, 3 months or whatever in most cases. And the show cause notice is also issued in a hurry when the time limit for order is nearing. So I feel like that is one significant change in 74 where they say after issuing of show cause notice, you still have 12 months plus 6 months, and it's not the other way around. So I thought that would be one of the ways where the overall proceeding is sort of a little more peaceful than the way the things are going on currently.
Very correct. Because we don't know which is better. Previously, they would issue notices and then go to sleep, wake up when it is nearing the due date and pass orders in a hurry. Now, they can issue notices whenever they want, but they have to now monitor 12-month expiration for every notice. I mean, if an officer has 10,000 notices to dispose of, imagine how he will track 10,000 due dates of 12 months, because that proviso which says JC can give extension, JC cannot simply give extension to cover up lethargy by the department. Because if the order has been passed after 12 months, one of the significant grounds to carry in appeal is extension granted by Joint Commissioner not justified. Therefore, the order itself is time barred. Then the justification given by the Joint Commissioner will be open for examination before the tribunal or by the appellate authority.
Correct.
So I don't know whether 12 months time to pass order is better for officers or one universal last date to pass orders is better for officers. But yes, I agree with you. This is a very significant thing in 74A. With nothing else changing in 74A, I think this could possibly be the only significant thing in 74A. All right, we'll continue.
Yeah, sir, like makes sense. Yeah, I wonder how they will keep a track. It's actually, yeah.
They can drop the ball. So therefore, keep your eyes on all notices. If you're filing appeal, first focus on whether show cause notice to order date is 12 months or more, is more than 12 months. That will be ground number one. Unless they go past that hurdle, they can't even enter into merits.
Sir, even in this case of appellate authority also, we have the time limit of 1 year where they are supposed to pass the order. But I think there they have given certain discretion, I think, right, sir?
Yeah, there they may try to extend it, they may try to complete it within 1 year, but the language of 1131 and 1078 are very different. 1134
Yes,
is
sir.
very different from the language here. So here it is a hard stop, 12 months.
Yeah.
There it says as far as possible.
Yeah. So that is missing in 74, right? Yeah.
Correct.
The other aspect, even though if they use I read somewhere, so even though they use the word shall, if there is no consequences of not doing within that 1 year, then it has to be read as a may, because here we have a consequence of 7510, where it said the order is deemed to be concluded. Because of that, it has to be read as a shall, because there is a consequence of not doing it.
Wow. Nice, Mylar. Good one. Both idea. Very good.
Thank you, sir.
Any more points on this, or shall I move next?
Go ahead, go ahead.
Yeah. Okay. So coming to section 16, subsection 6, in case of revocation of cancelled GSTINs, so they've given a time limit to claim ITC within 30th November of the following year, or 30 days of revocation order, whichever is later. So I was just taking up one scenario to how do we apply this provision when we read it with 16.5 as well. So let's take a situation where 31st October 2021 registration was cancelled. And 18 months returns were not filed. From April 20 to September 21, returns were not filed. 30th April 22, an order revoking cancellation was passed. Now, examining the applicability of this scenario, whether it will fit under 16.6. Firstly, if we say that as far as the original 16.4 timeline is concerned, for April 20 to March 21 returns, the due date for the 16.4 timeline was 20th October 21. Of course, amendment which wherein 30th November was put up in 16.4 happened with effect from 1/10/22. But since 16.5 comes up with a non-obstant clause qua section 16.4, even for 16.6 we can reread this as 30th November 21, and hence this situation will also fit in where ITC claims are eligible. My view is for the purpose of 16.6, even 16.5 needs to be considered, although explicitly 16.4 has been used in 16.6 clause. So here if we look at this provision, it says that in respect of an invoice or debit note was restricted under subsection 4 on the date of order of cancellation of registration. So going by a pure 16.4, yes, 20th October is the due date, but the cancellation of registration happened on 31st October, and these months the time limit is lapsed. But because of this 16.5, it says that, and this situation of 2021 returns also get covered over here. So I would think that this would get extended to 30th November 21. So this is my view. Any other thoughts or any different school of thought?
16.6 is not limited to the first 3 years covered by 16.5. 16.5 will die after 30th November 21. There is nothing further. Whenever the limitation of all demands ends, 16.5 will no longer be in use. First. 16.6 is a perpetual provision. It will remain in the future also. 16.6 will apply only when 16.4 has not applied. See, 16.6 does not start with notwithstanding anything contained in 16.4. 16.6 is subject to 16.4. That means somebody whose registration was cancelled before 30th, around 30th November. See, someone whose registration is cancelled in December will not claim any more credit for the previous period because his returns are not filed. He is already hit by 16.4. Somebody who is not hit by 16.4 and now not able to claim credit, somebody whose registration is cancelled in July. Now he is not able, because even if registration is cancelled, he can file the past returns. So whenever registration revocation appeals are being filed, update all returns. Then show that credit could not have been claimed in August, September, October, November because registration stood cancelled. Only in those cases, if appeal is allowed, within 60 days, if they go back and file all those returns, 60 or 30 days, go back and file all those returns, they can save. So 16.6 covers a very small subset of transactions relating to 16 cancellation and restoration, but it is not overriding 16.4. So 16.5 will not have a play in 16.6. Can you explain how 16.5 will have a play in 16.6?
Sir, here also we have a reference of,
Was
now.
not restricted in 16 in subsection 4.
Huh.
If it was already restricted by the time your number got cancelled, then you are not covered by 16.6.
So why don't we, I mean, if it is a period covered under 16.5, why can't we make use of this provision, sir? Because 16.5 comes up with the non-obstant clause to 16.4.
16.5 is applicable in all cases for those 3 years, whatsoever may have been your reason for not taking the credit, but ultimately you should have taken the credit under within 30th November. You cannot create a proviso to 16.5 for cancellation cases. Let us say it is cancelled from 1920 and now in 2024 also appeal is not disposed of. Now you cannot fit yourself within 16.6, isn't it? Because you're already hit by 16.
So that way, 16.6 is restricting those scenarios. No? So we'll take this very same example, sir. Now, April 20 to March 21, forgetting that I have not cancelled. I had continued my registration. I only filed my returns in 10th of November. So I get covered owing to 16.5. But in a case of cancellation, I still filed within the same timeline, but owing to 16.6, my time limit was only 20th October. That cannot happen that way, no, sir. Even this case would get covered there, no, sir. My point is 16.6 cannot restrict the benefit which 16.5 is giving, no, sir.
So your case is again only a transition case. Someone who is covered by those 3 years of 16.5 and his registration is cancelled. And it is cancelled even till today.
No, sir. It got revoked on
January 22.
30th April 22. Huh.
Okay, April 22.
Huh.
Now, how will you read that? What is the time limit?
So, as per 16.6, as on the date of cancellation order, 16.4 time limit should still be available. To evaluate whether this condition is fulfilled, I would still apply 16.5 and not limit to 16.4, no, sir.
See, now you're changing November 30th to the revocation order date. 16.5 does not permit it, no. April 22, you got order.
Yes,
July
sir.
21, your registration was cancelled. Up to July, you have filed all your returns. In April 22, your registration got revoked. You go online to file, and let us say you file the returns and you have taken credit in May 22. The answer is to come within 16.5. You should have filed the returns by 30th November. Have you filed it within 30th November? Answer is
Yes,
no.
sir. Yes,
You
sir.
have not filed. 30th November 21, you have not filed because your registration got cancelled in July 21. Your appeal got allowed in April 22.
Sir, in one case, what we have seen is even though registration was cancelled, we could still file returns, sir.
For the past period.
Yes, sir. Past period.
For the past period, you should file returns.
Yeah, and then apply for. Yes, sir.
Let us say up to July 21, you have filed your returns, but you had time as per 16.5 to claim that credit up to November 21. Let us say in August return, September return, some month you could have filed it. And now you could not file within November 21 because it was cancelled and appeal was allowed only in April 22.
Sir, 1 second, sir. If we just correlate to this example, very example what I've put up on the screen. Now, 31st October 21, registration got cancelled. So, April 20 to September 21, 18 months return, I have not filed. So, there are two different timelines for the returns bunch. So, April 20 to March 21, original 16.4 timeline is 20th October. April 21 to March 22, 30th November 22. So these are the two due dates as per the original 16.4 provision for these two bunch of returns. Now, my revocation, cancellation got revoked on 30th April 22. We will not talk about returns from October to March 21. We will keep it aside for time being. First, we will finish these 18 months return. So for the first 12 months, that is April 20 to March 21, see, irrespective of I was falling, I mean, my cancellation was my registration was cancelled or not, I would still fall under 16.5, no, sir.
But you will file. But what is required to claim under 16.5 is, did you file your returns and did you claim the credit that you are now not able to claim? You could have filed it up to 30th November, but did you file? Owing to cancellation, did you file?
Yes, I filed.
So for any case to fit within 16.5, the return must be filed by 30th November.
Yes,
and
sir.
whatever credits you want to claim, you should have claimed it in that return.
Yes, sir.
So how does 16.6 alter 16.5?
Yes, sir. So just to conclude on this scenario, let's now take three bunch of returns. April 20 to March 21, owing to 16.5. Let's say if I filed on 20th November 21, I still get eligible to claim the credit because of 16.5. Next, April 21 to March 22, obviously I have time till 30th November. I will file by that time. But there is this in-between period of October to March 22 where I was not registered basically. So that return I'll have to file within 30 days of revocation order or 30th November, 30th of the following years. So the entire returns from April 20 till March 20, I would be eligible in this given particular situation. And 16.5 has to be read, 16.6 has to make way for 16.5. Yeah.
16.5 is not even applicable for the second period that you're talking about. 16.5 applies only
first period.
So your example is not applicable to the argument. You have split
to the
your
limited
example
extent of this first bunch, no, sir?
See, for the first 3 years, November 30 is the last date.
Yes, sir.
So delete all of the, so nothing further to argue as far as the first 3 years are concerned. For the subsequent period, 21-22 onwards, 30 days from date of registration, you should file all your returns. Provided provided you are not already hit by 16.4. So here, 21-22 onwards, you should have claimed the credit by 30th November.
Yes, sir.
Let us say you have filed all your 31st October, your number is cancelled. So in another example, if you are already hit by 16.4, let us say some returns were filed on 1st of December, doesn't matter whether cancellation is restored, you will not be saved by 16.6. That's the only point I want you to please see. The
Yes, sir.
population of cases that will not get saved by 16.6.
Yes, sir. Understood, sir. Understood, sir. Yeah. So that way, for those 4 years, this 16.6 will not come as a restriction, no, sir. So this we can extend to include 16.5, even though it's a cancelled case. That was the only point, sir.
Okay.
Yes.
Sir, sorry, you said in some cases 16.6 will not come to rescue. What is that period, sir?
If you're already affected by 16.4, sir, I thought you're abroad, sir. Yelinda? Europe.
Just
From Europe, you're joining. Excellent, sir.
yes, sir.
Sir, if you 16.6 basically applies only if 16.4 is otherwise not affecting the transaction.
Correct.
That's all, only those cases.
Got it.
So we have a connected 30 subsection 2 second proviso saying that revocation of cancellation has to be, would be subject to such conditions and restrictions. So moving to the next important amendment, section 70, where with respect to summons, even an authorized representative is permitted to attend either for examination on oath or produce such documents or things. So to my mind, yeah, representing and producing documentary evidence is still okay. But examination on oath, representing the person being summoned. So what happens to the, can somebody be examined on oath? The questions which actually needs to be answered by the summonee, can it be answered through an AR? So this is something, I felt we should discuss about this, and what would be the sanctity of the statements made by the deponent on behalf of the person summoned. So, sir, despite this amendment, we should still not encourage representing the clients for attending summons, no, sir?
Clients, you don't encourage. My chartered accountants, how do you prevent these fellows from rushing with authorization to stand before enforcement officer and give statement?
That's what, sir. Yeah, that's what.
You tell them, don't go there in a hurry. And they will go to jail on behalf of chartered client also. How do you stop them? Now officer is going to threaten, saying that new section has been introduced, you have to come. Well, how do you stop a chartered accountant from going here and standing there? What new thing has been achieved in 1A?
Yeah, sir.
What new things have been achieved in this 1A subsection? Subsection 1A, what spectacular new thing have they achieved?
So there
we already had that instructions where in case of corporates and other entities. So firstly they said do not summon the directors, and the officers can attend. So I was just wondering by inserting this, what is that specifically they are looking at? Whom are they trying to exclude? I didn't understand.
Sir, whether this will become part of my proceeding, sir, because like, for example, if I am assisting for summons and I will give the statement on behalf of a taxpayer technically, So that will also become as an evidence, na, sir, when they are going to issue the notice and judicial proceedings, na, sir. So it is an additional, so against that, how are we again going to contest against those allegations? So that is also one of the thing I was just trying to understand on this.
See, it is up to the investigating authority whether to rely on the statement made by the authorized representative. They need not rely on everything that is stated by the authorized representative. They need not rely on everything. Now the question is, what is it that the authorized representative can say? What is it that the authorized representative cannot say? Or what is it that they can say which can be relied upon? What is it that they may say that should not be relied upon? Any views?
So is it something that orally a taxpayer, this as a consultant or whoever is, can explain to the tax official, but it has to be acknowledged by the taxpayer? Can we do that way, sir, rather than?
Now, see, orally saying it or saying it in writing,
Will it has effects, sir?
If orally something has been said, it need not be reliable, no? So written, if it is there, then at least tomorrow adjudication or appeal can read what was written and say whether it is acceptable, not acceptable. But the question is whether just because something authorized representative says, does it bind the taxpayer?
I mean, it will give him a better option to retract the statements made now, sir.
No. See, when a representative says something, it is as good as the taxpayer saying something. Correct now. You have to tell me whether something new has been done by 1A or nothing new has been done by 1A.
But I mean, during couple of discussions, what we understand is that, as a professionals, we should not represent.
Yeah. Now that they have introduced this section, what does it mean? Does it mean anything new or it is one and the same?
Apart from that point, nothing else I can think of, sir.
Sir, whether judicial proceedings can be initiated against that authorized representative, sir, because they are saying that it says that it shall state the truth during examination or make statement or produce or other things as may be required. So whether it is any action will be taken against authorized representatives, sir?
What action, madam?
Because section 70 refers to this judicial proceedings, no, sir. So that is
correct, madam.
Yeah. So whatever the action which can be taken place against the taxpayer, whether the similar action can
what action?
Like,
Madam, are you saying 132 should also have same thing?
Yeah, 132. See, that is what, because they are saying that every such inquiry shall be deemed to be judicial proceedings and idella, sir. So that will be, can we look into that way, sir? 130, sir, this 132.
Again, madam, what are you saying? Whether chartered accountant can be arrested for the offense committed by the taxpayer?
Yes, 132.
On behalf of.
On behalf of
and a chartered accountant will get a refund into his bank account.
No, sir. No, I understand why they brought. That's what I'm trying to understand. What can be the action against that? What can be the?
No, the only action can be a failure to attend summons. See, summons is given to Mr. X. Annapurna Kabra has been appointed as authorized representative, and Annapurna says, I don't want to attend. Can department take action against Annapurna Kabra for failure to attend summons? No, the cause of action is against Mr. X. Not attending through authorized representative will not put authorized representative in trouble. But attending can be done via authorized representative. Authorized representative can attend only to submit information and documents and not introduce new information. According to me, company is doing taxable activity. All those things they cannot say.
Okay. So shall I move to the next one, sir?
Madam, ಇದ್ರಲ್ಲೇ ಒಂದೇ ನಿಮಿಷ.
Yes.
What new things have happened in 1 year ನೀವು ಹೇಳಿಲ್ಲ ಅದನ್ನೇ ಮಾತ್ರ ಅವಾಯ್ಡ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀರಾ.
I mean, I'm not able to think of any new things, sir, except that
Tomorrow officer is going to show this subsection and force the assessee. What is your response? What will you tell the assessee? In study circle we discussed but we did not conclude ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಂಗಿಲ್ವಲ್ಲ. You have to say something.
I mean, generally, whenever the issue summons, they give a long list of things to be produced. We object on that, but that will still continue even under this new provision as well.
All right. So then we will circle back. We have to understand the implication of 1A or conclude that there is no implication of 1A. Venu has given a caution that we have to wrap up. You can make your closing remark.
Yeah. So, Venu sir, we continue the balance part in the next session. How do we go about?
Yes, yes. So if need be, we can take next week also.
Okay.
Because it's 10, so close to 10. Whatever the place you want to conclude, you can conclude.
Yeah, I think we need another session. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure. Okay, maybe one more provision and then we will wrap it up. So, so as far as 112 is concerned, of course, the time limit for filing, the application by the department extended up, or even by the taxpayer, extended up to the date notified by the government. Now that, the recovery proceedings and all are being initiated and they're pressurizing to make that pre-deposit so that matter can be kept in abeyance. So this will, kind of once the date gets notified, till then there will be time limit to file appeal. Probably we will take shelter of this provision over here. And very significant change being the pre-deposit for filing second appeal reduced to 10%, which was earlier 20%. And of course, the maximum pre-deposit reduced to 20 crores from the earlier 50 crores in terms of value. Now, a question arises, we have seen few cases where we even, wrote to the commissioner saying that, despite we have a circular where, the appeal, there is time limit to file appeal. Still, officers are insisting on pre-deposit and recovery action is being initiated. And again, we received advice from commissioner that you pay off the 20% pre-deposit and then write to the officer so that they will, abstain from doing the recovery proceedings. And later, once APL file gets notified, this will be linked from back end. And so there is no requirement to pay all over again. So all these things happened, and we ended up paying 20% pre-deposit to avoid the recovery proceedings. Now, can we immediately apply for 10%? Once this provision gets notified, can we immediately apply for 10% pre-deposit, refund of the 10% pre-deposit, so that only balance 10% would be sufficient? I think that's the only way, only course of action that would be available. So any thoughts on this? Hello?
So the pre-deposit would have happened through one DRC03.
Yeah.
So how would you take a refund? So then you would
Only
make another.
50% of the DRC3 and all that. Yeah.
I don't know.
We'll have these practical challenges. Yeah. Or file that.
Right now, it is not visible anywhere in the portal. So much amount is pre-deposit. The DRC03s are not categorized. I don't think there is a mechanism to process the 10% and take the 10%.
So we will have to file the entire refund, and then probably once APL 5 is notified, better to pay through APL 5 only, the 10% part, and the entire 20% what is deposited has to be applied as a refund. So of course, where recovery.
I would still suggest that if the DRC03 which is paid can be linked, link it there, because refund against the DRC03 payments are like seldom happen.
So only wait for APL 4 to be issued and then claim the refund. But that the order needs to be passed, so that has to be waited till then. That is the only way out.
With 128A coming in, there would be a procedure that would be given. So alongside of that procedure, this has to be explored, because even if you want to withdraw the appeal and claim a refund or appropriate the taxes paid.
Correct.
Yeah.
Okay, namaskara.
Yes, sir. Yeah, so thank you everyone. Venu sir, whenever you would insist we continue this, we take it ahead.
Yes, ma'am. I will come back to you later today.
Yeah, sure. Okay.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.